Welcome to Connections, Forum for Healing, Relationship and Expression, and this is episode 36. Today's show is about healing, well-being, and what you can actively do for it. The title of our show today is People Say I Look Great and Ask Me if I have lost weight. And this is with our special guest, Dr. Chong. Say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, welcome.
Great to be here.
Yes. In our weekly show, we're offering talks, interview regarding the most important areas of human life, such as relationship, personal expression, and self-development, including cultural development, as well as healing, which we are here addressing today. The purpose of our shows is to give you inspiration and also teach you new skills with which you handle the issues which are connected with our topics. Before I introduce our special guest to show today, Chong, Dr. Chong, we will give you some information about ourselves, your hosts. I am Margherita. I am the founder of the crystallotus.com. I'm an intuitive and life and business mentor who helps professional women overcome emotional problems and issues and stress so that they can live a satisfying life both at home and at work. And over to you, Heidi.
Yeah, hello. I am Heidi Hornlein. I am a transformational coach, a relationship counselor, and a voice therapist. And I work with people who don't yet feel fully realized in their life, and I help them to explore their full potentials and step into them and then live a much more happy life. And I'm also the founder of the cultural association Paradiso Integrale, which is our place here in Italy. And it's also becoming a virtual space where we will have a new Hangout show in November, which is called the Wisdom Factory. In our place here, we are holding retreats for relationship issues together with my husband, Mark. He is sitting over there and listening. And you can find more about us in thepowerofrelationship.com. So far, for me, I am now shortly introducing Alan. Dr. Alan Chong is known as the spine coach. We have this little fancy title today, but it's all about feeling better by having a good posture and having a good way of living. And Alan, he says, my intention is to inspire others to achieve their health and wellness goals naturally. And he does that in his holistic praxis for already 27 years. And he loves to share his expert advice and the information he is able to raccogliere, this is Italian, excuse me, together in all these years with you here on this show. And he is working in a very busy practice in Calgary in Canada. And you can find more about him and his services at thespinecoach.com. So, hello, Alan, and welcome again.
Ciao, bene.
Yeah. I am in Italy and you both are in Canada. Isn't it amazing that we can talk together in...
Yeah, that's awesome. We love Hangouts for that reason. So I'm very happy to be on your show, both your shows today, and I'm excited to talk about the topics of health and well-being. I mean, it's such a vast topic, but what's interesting is that there are paradigms of health, and it really becomes choices, and that's what I've learned over, because practice is learning from my patients and taking that experience and integrating that into influencing people's lives and inspiring people's lives to live a healthier life. And
Wonderful.
a few months ago, I became quite inspired, and that's how I met you, Heidi, just it must have been only May, through Lisa Engels. but we met and did some work together, and here I am on your show. And Margherita's show. That's awesome. I appreciate that, and that's where Google Plus has really been fantastic. And so I had decided several months before that I wanted to take my expertise globally to help people, because there are common threads within healthcare, and one is a misunderstanding of their current healthcare and where they could actually take their own healthcare into their own hands. And already, you know, many experts talk about a worldwide shift happening.
Okay. Let me ask you, our title is People Think That I Have Lost Weight by coming to you and using your services.
Yeah.
What does it mean? Tell me a little bit about what are you doing that people think.
It was a curious title, because you took an excerpt really from a patient testimonial that I believe we have on on my website, thespinecoach.com. But it's a true story. Just a few months ago, a woman named Carrie, with her consent, shared her video testimonial on my website, and we excerpted that. But she came into me for back pain, neck pain, and such. Very common things that people experience. Teacher, professional, stands all day, and not to get into the details of that, but after one session with me, now that's as a chiropractor in one of my clinics, but it was really, I believe, more the perception and the brief education I imparted to her, gave to her, taught her in that one session, that made a transformational change. Within the next visit, she reported that my colleagues noticed a big difference had you lost weight. And simply, of course, I did some hands-on work with her as a chiropractic adjustments, but aside from that, and that's very powerful in itself, but I taught her simply to a technique called what I call posture self-check. And in other words, I defined her posture, taught her very quickly what ideal posture was, and the simple of it is that to get her head centered between her shoulders and to stand more upright. And immediately the next day, her colleagues mentioned, "Had you lost weight? You're looking great, Carrie. What have you done?" And that was overnight, virtually. So it just tells me, that example tells me that people can experience transformational change. Now, was that a miracle? Well, perhaps, but more than likely it was a perception that was changed, both in her mind and obviously conveyed through energetics or appearance, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I would say that it's also becoming more aware of what, for instance, posture, when you are used all the time to sit like this and somebody tells you, try to sit more upright, and then you think about it several times a day, it already makes a difference. I know that in our audience there are people who talked in the comment already that they have back pain and problems with that. And you were here talking about a short exercise you could give them. The one you did with this lady, maybe, I don't know. Would you like to do that?
Sure, I'll show what I can here in my home little studio here. Essentially, if you would visualize this, is that simply the posture self-check is 3 steps, and I teach this in my clinic, and I teach this in my coaching program, just as one of the small things that I do. But it has obviously potentially profound impact, and the viewers will, and you will have to use your imagination a little bit, because I really can't stand up against a wall. But if you stand up against a wall and door with your back to the wall, and for most people, now one of the key points is that posture, in my opinion, is a very individualized thing. You can look at a diagram and say, well, that's perfect posture, that's ideal posture, but it's a guideline, because depending on body shape and certain alignment issues, then ideal posture or optimum posture for you today may be different from you 2 years from now. So one of the key things we want to help you avoid is a permanent hump in your back. And that's that, I call it office worker syndrome, computer syndrome. Now we're seeing it even in kids, which is a disturbing, alarming trend, as we're seeing that now in young teens even, through use of devices. So to counteract that, up against the wall or a door, and not pushing back. The key is just to lean up against that, heels touching the wall. Let's call it the wall, and back lightly touches, buttock obviously lightly touches, and then for most people, their head should be at or near the back of the wall. So when one is upright like that, that's a posture self-check position. Now the key checkpoints are head is upright between the shoulders, and the shoulders and arms are totally relaxed. Wherever they hang at the time, they need to be feeling relaxed. And then the third most important step in that is, I teach, and you can do it here, we can all do it here sitting, is to squeeze your buttock cheeks together about 25% while standing against that wall in that position. And then in that position, step forward, and you should be able to maintain that head position. So the key understanding is to feel that head between the shoulders position. For most people, that's an unnatural feeling position, because your head may have drifted forward like that, and that's very common, again, from computer and device work. And that's called the posture self-check. It's part of my program. It's one of the small parts of my program, but I start with ideal posture, defining ideal posture for you as an individual, and then from that you can engage the other three parts of head position, shoulders and arms relaxed, and then a slight buttock squeeze between 10 and 25%. You should be able to maintain that most of the day, and that will actually start to decrease many people's back pain and neck pain. Now, the other thing, of course, is given that...
Wait a minute.
Oh, sorry.
There's so much information. I think, anyway, our listeners have to come back and watch it again, because it was quite a bit. My husband here was standing against the wall and tried it out. And
good. So...
Yeah, me too. I was there, and I'm now, I think that I lost about 3 pounds in this, you know, like I said today.
Wow, look at you. You look fantastic. Also. You are taller. Look at relative to the screen. Do the replay, and you know, in the replay you'll be able to see that.
I wish I could repeat that.
Now, if I can repeat that on a regular basis, I should be rebranding as the Height Enhancement Clinic.
Wonderful. So the recommendation is for our watchers to write down all these instructions, put it nearby, and where you pass every time the day and get reminded of it. Because sure. I find in my own experience to remember that I need to do that. This is the difficult thing, not so much doing it.
Yes, and you know, whatever, it might take a little post or a little sticky or something that just says one thing, you know, upright posture, or relax your arms and shoulders. Now, simply to apply that to desk ergonomics, which is so important for us to understand now, is when you're in that posture self-check position against the wall per se, step away from the wall and feel into that position, and then with your arms and shoulders still relaxed, bend your elbows to 90 degrees. That is where the natural position of your keyboard and mouse are supposed to be. So if your desk setup is not such, then the closer you get to that natural ideal posture for you, whether it be short arms, long arms, whatever, that is ergonomically more correct, then likely you have it set up. So that's a cross check, that's a self check that you can do. Also, just a note of that, most people's monitors are too low. So again, if you're on the computer with a desktop, that's easier to adjust. Laptop is just as easy because, yeah, you're both laughing like, oh, guilty, that's me. The laptop needs to be on some books or a pedestal or something and get a separate keyboard and mouse. I mean, those are $1,000,000 tips here I'm giving.
I tell you a secret. I tell you a secret. I normally do what you say, sitting like this on the laptop. But for the Hangouts, I'm upright, sitting on a big high chair, quite up in front of the camera.
Today.
Oh, good.
So can I just recap what we just learned here, because this is, like you said, a lot of information. So I go to the wall, put my heels to the wall.
Yes.
And then lean back and touch
stand up straight. Simply stand up straight. You're not really leaning back. You're just against the wall.
Yeah. And then I stretch up, right? And then I squeeze my butt 25%.
Yes.
And then I raise my arms out 90 degrees.
90 degrees.
Like this, right?
Yes. If you're still against the wall, then yes, you would be 90 degrees like that. Okay. And that's where your keyboard and mouse need to be, with your arms and shoulders. The key self-check portion of this, test yourself, is that your shoulders and arms are relaxed when you're on the computer.
Okay, so when I'm standing at the wall, then I step away from the wall and then feel that posture. Is that correct?
That's correct, and that's the self-check portion of it. In other words, it's accountability, and I actually recommend that you buddy up with somebody so you can experience that, because the most common thing that happens when people step forward, their head instantly drops forward to where it used to be, or close to that. Right. So this posture self-check simply is to focus on head and neck position to be more upright, and then the rest of the body ergonomics, when you understand a few other things like I just taught, come into place. And so virtually instantly, if you do this every day, you will improve your ergonomics to the degree where you will have less back pain, neck pain, and chronic shoulder tension. That's just purely from improving your ergonomics a little bit. Now imagine if you work with someone like me on a regular basis and get that all fine-tuned with all the great tips and instruction that I have, then you actually can become a different person. Now, I mean, that's just the physical part. I also work with the mental, emotional, and talk about, healing in the greater sense.
So what can you do? As I'm a healer, I've studied energy healing and stuff like that for many years. And so how do you combine energy healing or healing with chiropractic?
Well, the original foundations of chiropractic were more based on energy and not so much just manipulations. Now it's gone full circle, if you will. I mean, we understand a lot more how physical hands-on manipulation works, and then there are chiropractors. Chiropractic is very diverse, but what the method I practice is more hands-on chiropractic, traditional, if you will, where I use hands-on. We do get releases and manipulations in most cases. However, part of what I do is very light touch work, which also has an energetic, if you will. So it really depends on how you define that. Now, how I incorporate that into my practice is really, for one, I've learned that intention is key for a healer. You know that. You have to have the right intention first. and that person intuitively will experience that through your intention. So there's the great unknown still. You know, we seek constantly to define what defines a healer and who is, you know, what is not a healer, or what is healing and what is not healing. And I believe a lot of it's actually conveyed through intention, and that's a different whole big topic of discussion right there. So I mean, I don't do energy work. For one, I have some training, but that's not my forte. It's incorporated in the experience of chiropractic, being very good with my hands and being very intentional, and obviously also working from my heart. So that's certainly an intention. So people just get it. And you know, I didn't always start like that right out of chiropractic school. You know, I went through that whole learning curve, and we all learn. That's why it's the practice of chiropractic, the practice of healing, is because we should be always learning and raising to a higher level. So I always say,
I met a surgeon actually,
sure.
way back in Hawaii, and he told me that. And he actually, like, we sat and had dinner with a group of friends, and then he says, you know, we talked about what he did, right? And so he said that he uses energy when he has the scalpel and opening up people, and he used his hands to do it. And then he proceeded. That was the time when I wasn't really aware too much of energy. And he took my hand and he put his hand like this, and it was like a thunderbolt right through. So he actually showed how powerful that, and it opened my hand even before I took any kind of thing. Anyway, I think maybe that made it that I did this, right?
Right. Yeah, and you know, these experiences in life, we don't know who or what or when we can be inspired to do great things, to be great things, to experience a great healing. But the number one thing is we have to believe that it's possible. Something greater than what we are now is possible. And that's probably one of the greatest things that I instill to my patients and coaching clients, etc., is the hope for better, and to always instill hope in that person. And you know, sometimes it's very difficult when we know the you know, the technical or the research says, and that's, you know, that is a bit of a criticism for evidence-based practices, because that's only one biased set of research. You know, what is unexplainable many times is the actual healing experience, and we know that's multifactorial. It's not simply just, oh, research says that this should heal and this shouldn't heal. And so people are getting that worldwide. They're getting that shift. They're understanding that, you know what, if I'm going to heal from this, I need to take things in my own hands and find the right people. People like you, people like Heidi in relationships and stuff, people like me, the spine coach, that are resonating with what they believe. I think that's the bottom line. And many people don't know what they believe.
I would like to pick up what you said. What is healing? Actually, we don't know what healing is. Healing occurs. We can make actions and whatever. We can prepare ourselves for healing, and or it happens or it doesn't happen. It's not the healer who heals you. When you go to the best healer and you have an idea that, well, it doesn't work. How can that work? It will not work, you know. So for me, healing is a real mystery, and we can prepare ourselves to throw away all the blocks we are in and be open for the healing energies. They can be with manipulation. They can also be with medicines. You know the placebo effect there. Sometimes medicines help, sometimes they don't. And sometimes they help even if they are not medicines. So we can prepare ourselves to be prone to enter into the healing field. And then you were talking in the green room about a concept, innate intelligence, and I think this is really now the good point to bring this up, because our bodies have an intelligence by themselves, and we always think only here is the intelligence, but when we take off all the weight we put on the body by our expectations, by our, fixations, but when we allow the body to do what it wants to do, the premise is that it is free to do it, then probably healing has a good chance. What do you think about that, Alan?
Well, I love the concept, and it's not my concept, of innate intelligence, and that is basically the concept. It's a philosophical concept that the originator of chiropractic, I don't think he came up with it either, but it is that the same intelligence, if you will, or energy, but let's use intelligence that made the body heals the body. So the same intelligence that made or created the body heals the body, and that is the wonder of life, the wonder of nature, because the classic example of is a person skins themselves or a cut, and by and large that cut, if reasonably tended to, will heal by itself. The body is innately attuned to healing. The processes of the universe engage together, whether it be the biochemistry and everything, to manifest healing, to prolong life, to enhance life. Now, it's interesting that, so to me, healing is still a mystery, but less a mystery because, it's in a sense a degree of enlightenment that I've achieved through working with thousands and thousands of people, and also studying in a realm that's not just science, if you will. So innate intelligence is not a new, but what's interesting is it's like it's new again, because people are starting to embrace this and realize that it's not the doctor. I don't claim to be a healer. I can help manifest healing in a person, and therefore be called a healer at times. And I gratefully appreciate that, and very grateful for the ability to help manifest healing. But you're right, Heidi. I agree with you. It is really the person within, in all their ways, can manifest healing, and it's through innate intelligence.
Can I make a comment here? We have some comments in on the chat. And we have T Ming Kui, I hope I pronounced it correctly, and she pointed out that about normal, we are become accustomed to what is normal, like a normal, and that the hunched over position at the computer, we feel that's the normal, and so she's trying out your position and your posture now, and then we have Yassine, who says that healing is the desire to feel better in your life, about your own life, he says. And I personally also agree with you that it's not the healer who does the healing, it's just he or she just facilitates, and that's a very good thing, to make sure that the person themselves is the person who is doing it. But we can hold space as healers and chiropractors and other facilitators. Yeah.
So yes, and those are great points. And what I would suggest in this world of mostly, now there are many communities and many societies still that are very restricted in what they can do and have access to. That's both empowering and disempowering, because it's empowering because you yourself, especially when you get connected to a worldwide community and different thought leaders, then you can actually realize that a lot of the healing you can manifest with some information, whereas and in the more larger centers, certainly where you have choice of where to go, then spend your time and efforts and dollars to people that resonate with you, as opposed to one person's advice only, and that's what I need to do, which is very old school medical thinking, if you will. It's my way or the highway, or doctor is God. You know, that is going far by the wayside, and people are understanding a more enlightened view of healthcare. And I'm working to inspire people to take control of their own health and wellness, so that it's about quality of life issues and choices, lifestyle choices and habits. Those you are, for the most part, in control of.
I like really what you say, and I would even bring it further to the point. Don't go to a person because she is famous in the academic world, a professor for something or something else, but go to somebody, might even be this professor, but where you feel a connection, where you have the trust, where you really listen inside yourself and see, does this person, you know, I don't know even how to say this. Do I feel connected? Can
Right.
or do I feel something, oh, there's something strange, but everybody says he's good, so I go there. You might save your money for that.
Well, yeah, yes.
I have a comment from Susan Anderson. She says, innate intelligence, intentional practitioner working from the heart with a belief in something greater. Now we got open. Open, responsible, the responsibility in the receiver, and that is an immense healing experience, something like that. And thank you, Susan, for that comment.
Yeah, and it may not be an actual healing practitioner, and that's where we understand healing more. Is there's community, and these cultures and communities that don't, they have their own healers. Every culture in the world has had healers and practitioners, if you will, and now it's so formalized that medicine is actually having to shift around. Chiropractically is having to rearrange itself because there's different schools of thought. So within a profession there can be a lot of turmoil, but the enlightened physicians, practitioners, doctors, healers, like the surgeon you mentioned, I believe you described an enlightened physician, and he was medically trained. So I'm not saying one profession versus the other. I'm not criticizing professions. I'm purely saying that you know, and a great doctor for you might not be a great doctor for me. So there is that rapport that needs to be a part of healing. And some of the worst bedside mannered doctors are some of the best doctors. Just take it for what it's worth. So it's not necessarily just a feeling too. I didn't like that man, but he helped me. You know, that's okay too. So it really is opening your own sphere for thinking to possibilities of how you're healing, if you will. And you always need to know, so long as you're alive, healing is trying to occur. And that's my encouragement to anybody who has any ailment. It's said to be incurable. Well, that may be true or not true, but it's all relative to the description and who's describing it. So do your research, look into things, and be open to possibilities. For usually when a doctor says can't be done, this and that, it means that in their own sphere of thinking they cannot understand how they could heal you. So go to somebody else.
So we have a question here from T. Ming Wee, and she says, are you familiar with the work of Richard Gordon, which uses the technique of quantum touch to facilitate healing from innate intelligence by holding certain resonance and intention?
Sure. I'm not familiar with that actual man, but I am familiar with quantum healing and quantum touch, and that is just a person who is enlightened enough to manifest with intention. It's not a healing power per se. He's engaging energies that will help you manifest healing through what he or she does as a practitioner. So, I mean, that's great stuff. You're going to hear a lot more about that type of thing. Healing touch, for example, is described in various cultures and such. Again, those are labels, so I'm trying to generalize here for the benefit of everybody, because we may have our fortes in certain areas, but I truly believe this all comes together and describes similar phenomena. It's just there's different, like homeopathy can be extremely powerful. I use some homeopathy in my practice, but is it the only thing? No.
What you are describing.
Okay, go ahead.
What you are describing, Alan, is a little bit what we would call integral medicine. So the practitioner knows quite a lot of different areas, and he knows for what person, he senses for what person, what does he need to do. And if he sees that it is not in his toolbox what is needed for this person, he will refer to somebody else. And there comes in what we are doing here in Google+. You begin to collaborate. The collaboration in the future will be much more important, because so far a professor thought he has every wisdom, he knows everything, and only he can do that. And he would never have referred, I'm talking a little bit exaggerated, people to other, because he thinks I must do that, I must be on top of this question. We are coming into an area where we recognize what our specialities are and what we can do for a person, and we know people where we can send them when we feel that what we can offer them is not the right thing. That's what I heard about what you are telling.
Sure, exactly. And the power of being online opens up the spectrum in two ways. That some people experience fear because there's so much out there. Some people seek enlightenment and their minds become open. So I'd encourage all of you watchers, viewers, to take information not as this is the rule or this is the best necessarily, but take it and start to digest that for an integrated look at health. I mean, health is just one area that's partly become confused because there's so much opinion and some of it's self-interest, and you start to filter out who is actually giving you great information and content for the right reasons because we care, as opposed to we have an ulterior motive. So that's the filtering. People are smarter than most marketers are now, so they're choosing what they want to, and listen to your heart, as I say, when you're choosing people to work with. And that's the cool thing about this Google Plus that's getting people connected.
Yeah, and
okay, so we have a comment here from Susan, and she says the word enlightened is used frequently and often with certain assumptions. Would you please share your definition of that word?
This is purely my definition. I would say where one becomes open to more than they're used to being open to in thought is an enlightened person. And so it's not a sergeant versus a corporal. There's no ranking here. I mean, there's lifelong search for enlightenment. Should be a mental health thing. A statement of mental health is we should all seek to be more enlightened, and for some it's more just purely academic. But if that's only one sphere, if you look at the other academies out there, then we start understanding more the meaning of life. So I suppose another definition I would apply to that is when you understand more of the meaning of life as a whole from the little bacteria virus to the greater human being in the universe, I would say that's a degree of enlightenment.
So what I understand, you don't use this term as many spiritual circles use this term, enlightenment, become one with everything, and so on. You use enlightenment to be more aware, to have more perspectives on life, to know more, to experience more.
That I did not use that in a spiritual or coined way. So really, I apply a broad definition of that. And so really, it's becoming so aware. Like I teach in posture, when you become more aware to the degree where you are unaware that you're in great posture, that is more enlightened posture, if I could use that on a very light sense of describing it. Is you've become enlightened to a better posture and you don't even know it because you're practicing it and you every day. You don't have to think about it.
Yeah. Wonderful, Alan. I thank you for all these informations you have shared with us. We are coming to the end, and before we close, I would like to ask you a little bit. You are planning, you're not planning, you have already announced your own show where you can give, where you want to give your wisdom away to people. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yes, I'm so excited. On September 29th, that's on a Monday, at 3 p.m. Pacific and 6 p.m. Eastern in North America here, I am launching my own show, my Google Hangout show, called Healthier, Happier You. And so really, when I was coming up with the name, I thought, what do I want to, what's my intention is to share with people how to become healthier and how to become happier. But really, those are together. You cannot separate those. A healthier person generally has the capacity to be healthier. They aren't necessarily happier when they're healthier. And likewise, a happier person has the potential to become healthier. So those are interconnected. And of course, the show is about you, the audience, and you as my guests. And Heidi, you're going to be a guest on my show. When is it? On the 13th, isn't it?
I think so. And I will stay awake up to midnight, my time to be on the show.
That. I appreciate it. I got up early for you today, really early. So I'm so excited about that. It's on Google+. To find out more information, you would go to thespinecoach.com and click on the tab, The Show. Of course, it's a free Hangout show. We're going to launch our superstar guest, I call him, with Chef Dennis Litley. He has over 600,000 followers, and he's been on Google+. He's shared with me since it started. 2 weeks in, he signed up to Google+, and Google has recognized him as being a top influencer and such. So, but he's very down-to-earth, retired chef, Dennis Litley. We're going to talk about how he helps himself to be a happier, healthier Chef Dennis, and how you can be a healthier, happier person through a lot of his wisdom through food and entertainment and such. So the food aspect, but we're going to talk a lot more about food. It's about the show is about real people with real health issues and real solutions. So I'm so excited about that. Thanks for asking me about that, Heidi.
Yeah, and voters, please circle Alan and ask him to put you in his notification circle. So you can ping him and ask him that you will be invited for these show episodes.
Yes.
As far as I know, you are planning to do 10 episodes, is it right?
12 episodes. You can ping me at +Alan Chong. Find me on Google+, and if not, look at Heidi's posts and you'll see me in there sometimes too, right?
Yeah. So me, you can find in +Adelheid Hornlein, and Margherita in Margherita Crystal Lotus, I guess.
Margherita Crystal Lotus, yes.
Yeah, so put us into your circus and tell us if you want to participate and to be here in our show Connection. So we put you in the notification circle too, so you won't miss any session. And if you do, here on the event page on top in the banner, you see the URL of our website where we post all the replays, so you won't miss anything, even if you lose one live session. So,
and I always do say, please share, because that's how you share great stuff.
Absolutely. This is a big, how do you say appell in German? A big request, yes. Please share the post. Please share the announcement, because we really want to help the world. And you can help us to help the world. And we will share your events too, for sure, if you make us know what you are up to. Okay, thank you. A final word, Margherita.
Yes. Well, my takeaway from this is really amazing, because you've bridged the areas of healing into manipulation science like chiropractic, and put together the dots, let's say. And this is a very beautiful posture check on the wall there. I think anybody can use. I mean, these tips were very valuable. And also the thing about your 90-degree elbow out and the keyboard position on your devices is very important. So thank you for that, and good luck on your show.
Thank you very much. I look forward to you being in the audience, and then maybe a guest sometime.
Oh, I would love that. That would be fun.
And Ellen, some last word.
Yes. Well, I would just encourage anybody. I know we had a number of questions, and we always do, about people that are experiencing certain ailments and pains, and back pain it's very, very common. I mean, there is definitely value in hands-on care. There's value in certain other medical specialties as well, but in general, start with the basics, which is hands-on type care. Work on your mind and attitude, and really encourage you to do simple things. Usually the corrections are simple, but you need to do them daily and create lifestyle habits that support health and healing and happiness, as opposed to, well, I was told to do this, but I don't do this. Well, that's your choice. So, you know, listen to yourself, listen to your heart, what it's saying to you, and seek out people that resonate with you. And they might be in the most unusual places. It might be online on a Google Hangout that you discover what you need to do.
Thank you, Alan. And I would say, as a final word, we have the power to become ourselves and even to heal ourselves by taking over the responsibility for our health. By doing what we know we need to do, instead of saying, as you said, oh, I should do that, but I don't. It is a learning process. Don't be discouraged if you cannot do it immediately. Look for people who do a sort of group, empowerment group, where you can help each other to keep in the line and go on. So thank you very much. And with that, we will end our show for today. Margherita, the show for next week, would you like to introduce it?
Yes, for next week we are meeting Vicki Lewis. She is a transformational coach, and we're going to talk about how spiritual practice can help busy women to realize what their life is about, and how that day matters, you know. And so the focus is there on releasing some of these things that goes on in a stressful life and remedy it by some kind of spiritual practice. And we're looking forward to that a lot.
Wonderful. And in the meantime, you go and see our new website, hangoutonconnections.com, where you will find all the previous episodes and also the one we do today. We'll be there tomorrow, for sure. And you can connect with us there. Thank you for watching, for spending your time with us, and hope you will come back. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.